I died, killed by my own daughter, Emily, whom I had raised single-handedly. One day, while I was in the kitchen making her favorite corn and pork rib soup, she struck me from behind with a kitchen knife. I collapsed onto the cold floor, looking up at her cold and ruthless face, clutching at her pant leg in disbelief.
Why?
It's you. It's all because of you. If you hadn't taken that 200,000, how could Jason have treated me like this?
She raised the knife and struck me again, a glint of satisfaction and malice in her eyes.
You deserve this! You deserve it!
Each strike cut deep, the pain almost causing me to convulse. Her eyes were filled with rage.
Emily, you can't.
My words seemed to enrage her further. Her face twisted, her eyes bloodshot, and she snarled.
You're about to die, and you still dare to order me around!
She mercilessly slashed at my face, each cut a vent for her anger. My screams of agony only made her laugh with glee. Unsatisfied, she chopped off my fingers and toes. The pain magnified 100-fold, numbing my nerves.
Mom, you can die now.
With one final stab, she pierced my heart. After my death, she chopped my body into 81 pieces with the kitchen knife. She wanted me to be obliterated, to never rest in peace. Seeing this, my soul burned with rage. I wished I could devour her flesh and drink her blood. The gods said I had lived a life of virtue and offered me a chance to start over.
Mom, you're selling your daughter, objectifying women.
Emily stood defiant, her youthful face filled with determination. I glared at her, my anger rising, and she stepped back, startled. It dawned on me that I had been reborn on the day both families met, the very day Emily brought Jason's family to force a marriage. In my previous life, Emily had just graduated from a prestigious university and had a bright future. But she fell for Jason, a ne'er-do-well, and insisted on marrying him. I refused and she resorted to extreme measures. Eventually, she brought Jason's family to our home, where Jason professed his love and willingness to forsake everything for her. Emily was moved to tears, but I saw through his empty promises.
I love Emily and am willing to give up everything for her.
He had nothing to give up, which only made Emily more resolute.
Mom, even if you don't agree, I will still be with Jason.
Dear, the kids are so in love. Please let them be together.
I remained silent, but Linda persisted.
Name your price. I'll agree to anything.
Calmly, I said. Fine, bring me a dowry of 200,000, and you can take her. Emily exploded with anger, unable to understand that hard-earned things are more cherished. In my previous life, this dowry was meant for her security. Yet, she blamed her marital woes on my demand and took drastic measures against me. In this life, seeing Emily's furious face, I pushed her toward Jason. Marry whoever you want. My change in attitude stunned Emily. She assumed I was angry and hastily said,
Mom, don't be so impulsive. You know Jason's family can't afford 200,000.
I shrugged, speaking slowly. I don't want the 200,000 anymore. Marry him if you want to. Emily hadn't processed this, but Jason and Linda eagerly stepped forward, promising to treat her well.
Emily, I swear I'll give you a happy life.
Emily, bewildered, looked up, slightly embarrassed.
Mom, this is my marriage we're talking about.
I glanced at her, exasperated. Now that I wasn't opposing, she hesitated. She wanted a love that overcame all obstacles, but without me as a barrier, she was lost. Not giving her time to reconsider, I took out the household registration book. Here it is. Whether you marry or not is up to you. Doesn't your love deserve a legitimate status? Emily took the household registration book, and the group left joyfully to get their marriage certificate. Watching Emily's retreating figure, I couldn't help but sneer. I was curious to see how her life would unfold without the 200,000. For a whole month, my daughter's social media was filled with pictures of various dishes.
Mother-in-law taught me another dish today, feeling so accomplished, hee hee.
My wife is so capable, the kitchen is all yours from now on.
You should be happy you married such a good wife.
I turned off the screen, my cold smile reflecting on the black surface. My foolish daughter had no idea that Jason wasn't joking. This was probably one of the few truths Jason ever told. After she posted a picture of a whole table of dishes she made by herself, she never posted again. 2 months later, my daughter called me, sobbing uncontrollably.
Mom, Jason is a monster.
I could guess what happened.
Did he hurt you?
I just accidentally added too much salt and his dad's blood pressure went up a bit. And then he just... Mom, how could he do this to me? He wasn't like this before.
The mistreatment had started much earlier than in my previous life. Without that 200,000 yuan, Jason's promises didn't even last half a year.
Mom, what should I do?
In my past life, hearing my daughter was hurt, I was frantic. I grabbed a stick and rushed to Jason's house. Seeing my daughter covered in bruises, I was furious. I smashed the coffee table and threatened him, saying if it happened again, I would fight him to the end. But he was ruthless too. As soon as I left, he hit me on the head, causing a concussion that landed me in the hospital. My daughter even pleaded for him, forbidding me to call the police. I snapped back to the present, slowly got out of bed, poured a glass of milk, and spoke calmly.
You married him, he's your husband. If he wants to hurt you, what can I do? Don't be so delicate, endure it. Life will pass quickly.
Mom, how can you say that? I'm your daughter, how can you not protect me at all?
A thankless child, what's the use of protecting her? The story of the farmer and the snake only needs to happen once. Before I could respond, I heard more commotion on the other end.
You wretch! My dad almost died because of you, and you still have the nerve to call your mom.
The sound of a slap echoed.
Don't hurt me, I didn't say anything.
My daughter's plea was followed by a piercing scream.
Ah. I'm sorry, I won't do it again.
Jason's angry shouts mixed with the sound of blows. My daughter's pleas grew weaker. I called the police. Raising my voice, I shouted into the phone.
Jason, I've called the police, they'll be there soon.
There was a brief silence, then the sounds of violence intensified.
Fine! Go ahead and tell your mom. Get me locked up. See if I don't make you regret it. You ungrateful wretch.
Hearing the police take them away, I hung up the phone, satisfied. When the police arrived, Jason was still attacking her and was immediately arrested. My daughter was severely injured. If she pressed charges, Jason would surely be imprisoned for years. But she chose to sign a letter of forgiveness, believing Jason's promise to treat her well in the future. How laughable that she forgave him so easily. Her suffering had its reasons. They appeared before me, looking so in love that it startled me. I had just finished my morning class and returned to the office, where Emily and Jason were already waiting at the door, their fingers intertwined, whispering softly to each other. Seeing me, Emily approached playfully and took my hand.
Mom, why didn't you tell me you moved? Jason and I went to the old place and couldn't find you, so we had to come to the school.
Why, you ask? Because of the trauma you caused me. I pulled my arm away, warily eyeing the smiling couple. Something was definitely off. Is there something you need?
Mom, you're going to be a grandmother.
My colleagues overheard and congratulated me, saying how lucky I was to become a grandmother so soon. Emily's smile deepened. How long has it been?
Almost 2 months.
The incident was just 2 months ago, and now the baby is almost 2 months along? She really loves this delinquent. Go home and take good care of yourself. Her smile froze, but she continued to act coy, as if not noticing my tone.
Mom, aren't you going to do something for your grandchild?
Finally, the real motive was revealed. I forced a smile, devoid of warmth. What do you want me to do?
Mom, Jason and I have calculated the costs for prenatal checkups, nutritional supplements, baby supplies, formula, diapers, and so on. It all adds up to about $200,000.
Also, Jason's mom isn't in good health. You should take some time off to come home and take care of me.
They had quite the nerve. They wanted my money and my time, truly embodying the phrase wanting it all. No way.
Mom.
Mom, Emily is your daughter, and the baby in her belly is your only grandchild. If it's a girl, we'll even give her your surname. We're family, there's no need to be so distant.
Seeing that I still wouldn't budge, Jason's expression grew colder, and he nudged Emily forward with his shoulder.
Mom! How can you be so heartless? I'm your only daughter. I'm in trouble now, and you won't help me? I've always listened to you, never dared to go against you. I just want to be with the person I love. When I got married, you didn't give me any dowry, and I didn't blame you. Even if you don't care about me, think about your unborn grandchild.
Emily wiped her tears as she spoke, looking pitiful. My colleagues, who had watched her grow up, showed sympathetic expressions.
Emily, let's talk this through. Don't cry. It's not good for the baby.
Ms. Lin, don't be so hard on the kids.
In my past life, when Emily was expecting, I worried she might be mistreated by her in-laws. I gave my all, both financially and physically. Every day after class, I rushed to make her nutritious meals. I covered all her pregnancy expenses, choosing the best maternity products for her, spending around $200,000 in total. I never kept track or mentioned it to her. In fact, the $200,000 dowry I received was ultimately spent on her. Yet, she mercilessly ended my life over that money. Thinking of this, my anger surged uncontrollably. After my death, she dismembered my body into 81 pieces with a kitchen knife. She wanted to erase my existence completely, to ensure I would never find peace.
Wise Soul was consumed with rage. I wished I could exact revenge on her. The gods, seeing my past virtuous life, offered me a chance to start over.
Enraged, I wished I could devour her flesh and drink her blood. But the gods, noting my virtuous life, granted me a chance to start anew. I released the full video my daughter had deleted. It showcased her true nature, from demanding money to morally blackmailing me, and finally, her unrestrained outburst when I exposed her misdeeds. Initially forgotten by the internet, the complete version resurfaced, leading netizens to condemn my daughter.
I knew it. How could a family have two such people? The mother takes bribes, and the daughter leeches off her. Truly a family resemblance.
I even suspect the daughter reported her mother because she couldn't get money from her.
My daughter faced online harassment, and I knew the time was right. I announced a live broadcast. As soon as it began, countless people flooded the stream, almost crashing it. The chat was filled with accusations.
You failed as a teacher and as a mother.
Looking exhausted, I weakly admitted.
Yes, I did fail as a mother.
You must have done something. Why else would your own daughter treat you like this?
Because the man she wants to marry is troublesome, with a bedridden father. She would rather abandon me to marry him. And her husband frequently mistreats her. Despite this, she repeatedly forgives him and even wants to start a family with him.
I played a phone recording, where my daughter's anguished cries and Jason's angry shouts were unmistakable. Anyone could tell what she was enduring. After the recording ended, tears streamed down my face uncontrollably.
Sophia, it's not too late to turn back. You are still your mother's good daughter.
Simultaneously, someone posted videos and photos of me teaching in remote areas and sponsoring countless girls there. The students I had helped came forward to defend me. Colleagues shared photos of me preparing lessons and grading papers late into the night.
Emily is not her biological daughter. She found her one freezing winter day, her body stiff from the cold. Her tiny hand clutched my finger tightly, and I thought we were destined to be together. Little did I know it would turn into a tragic bond.
This revelation enraged the netizens completely. They condemned her for falsely accusing her mother and deceiving everyone. With the truth out, they harshly criticized her until she had to disable comments and private messages. Her in-laws' address was exposed, and the entire family was too afraid to leave their home.
Every day there are sounds of fighting and a woman screams from Emily's house.
This is the marriage she chose.
There were rumors online that Sophia had experienced a miscarriage.
Emily was taken away by an ambulance, covered in blood.
Could it be that her husband beat her and caused the miscarriage?
Jason had already harbored resentment because of what happened with Sophia before. This time, when he couldn't get money and was scolded instead, he took out all his anger and frustration on Sophia. Following the directions from netizens, I arrived at the hospital. Due to the delay, Sophia had lost too much blood, and both the fetus and her uterus couldn't be saved. Jason spat out bad luck, signed the surgery consent form, and left. Through the glass door, I saw Sophia lying on the hospital bed, extremely weak, mumbling something. I leaned in to listen and borrowed a cup of warm water from the adjacent bed to help her drink. When she opened her eyes and saw me, she became agitated, but even a slight movement pulled at her wound, causing her to close her eyes in pain for a while.
What are you doing here? Come to laugh at me.
My lips trembled, and my eyes reddened.
Don't pretend to be kind.
Warm tears dripped onto her hand, and she looked puzzled, her tone sharp.
Why are you crying?
Choking back sobs, I said. Emily, your uterus has been removed. She froze, finally realizing why the pain was so intense. She began to hit the bed with her hands, trying to vent her frustration. Soon, her wound reopened, and blood seeped out, causing her to faint from the pain. My expression turned cold in an instant. I wiped away my tears and calmly pressed the call button by the bed. When she woke up, I comforted her. Emily, your health is the most important thing. I picked up a bowl of soup and brought it to her lips, coaxing. You always loved Mom's corn and rib soup, didn't you?
She suddenly knocked the bowl out of my hand, the hot soup splashing onto my hand, turning it red immediately. Get out. It's all your fault I'm like this. If it weren't for you, Jason wouldn't have beaten me.
I looked at the ribs and corn scattered on the floor, feeling a pang of regret for having gone to the hospital cafeteria to buy it. I forced out tears, fully playing the part of a guilty mother. Emily, you're not in a good mood right now. Mom doesn't blame you. Mom remembers how much you loved me when you were little. I saw a flicker of emotion in her eyes. Sensing the moment, I pretended to be sad and left the room. For 3 days, I didn't appear, asking Nurse Betty to deliver meals from the thermos to Sophia. Initially, she angrily swept the food to the floor.
How ungrateful can you be? You've been in the hospital for so long, your mom comes every day and your husband who caused all this hasn't shown up once.
Sophia remained silent, but the next time Nurse Betty brought food, she obediently ate it. I knew the time had come. On the fourth afternoon, I brought corn and rib soup.
Here, Sophia, have some soup.
She took a small sip, her eyes downcast. When she looked up and saw the bruise on my forehead, she stared for a while but didn't ask. I stayed with her until late at night, reminiscing about her childhood. She didn't respond, but occasionally, she smiled.
Mom, your forehead?
It's nothing. I ran into Jason at the hospital this afternoon, and I was just too anxious.
I didn't miss the flash of malice in her eyes, the same look she had when she ended my life in the past. Coincidentally, I had run into Jason while buying food downstairs. Seizing the opportunity, I rushed at him, cursing loudly.
You monster.
Unable to bear the onlooker's stares, he pushed me hard, and I hit the wall. Realizing the situation, he fled. I controlled the impact, making the injury on my forehead look severe. It was all a show for Sophia. Jason not only caused her to lose her child but also her ability to bear children, and now he had hurt the only person who stayed by her side. I knew she was close to her breaking point. I had someone inform Jason about the high costs of Sophia's hospital stay. With her unable to have children and the expenses piling up, it wasn't worth it. The next day, Jason and Linda barged into the ward, trying to drag Sophia home. When I arrived at the hospital, alerted by Nurse Betty, I heard Linda's explosive remarks.
A miscarriage is no big deal. Everyone has one. Hospital stays are too expensive. Save the money for Jason to marry someone else. The child they have will be yours too.
Sophia's face turned green with anger, unable to speak from the pain of Linda's rough handling. Watching the scene, I pushed through the crowd.
Stop. My daughter is none of your concern. If you won't pay, I will. From now on, my daughter has nothing to do with your family. Leave, or I'll call the police.
Hearing that they didn't have to pay, they left without a second thought. Seeing her husband and mother-in-law's heartlessness, Sophia stared at their retreating figures. In the following days, Sophia began to talk to me about the past, becoming more cheerful.
Mom, I'm sorry for all the wrong things I've done.
Mothers don't hold grudges against their daughters. It's okay.
She cried even harder, bowing deeply and knocking her head on the floor 3 times, her eyes filled with deep sorrow. Sophia was more ruthless than I had ever imagined. The day I left, I didn't go far. I watched her leave the hospital and head to Jason's house. I booked a room at a nearby hotel, which had a clear view of Jason's place. I didn't know what Sophia did, but the entire night, there wasn't a single sound. Early the next morning, Sophia appeared at the trash bin outside Jason's house, carrying a black plastic bag. My pupils contracted as I seemed to see my own fate from the past life. I immediately called the police.
You did the right thing. We'll handle it from here.
Sophia was caught red-handed, dismembering bodies with a kitchen knife, her face covered in blood, a terrifying sight. She was arrested on the spot and confessed to her crimes without hesitation.
Yes, I did it. I drugged Jason and Linda, and I killed them just like I did before.
And the old man?
Him too. He died in agony, eyes wide open.
Sophia's brutal spree led to her being sentenced to death. Once everything was settled, I sent her a letter. After reading it, Sophia went mad and ended her life by swallowing a spoon during a meal. In the letter, I told her that I had orchestrated everything because I had crawled back from the depths to seek vengeance on her.
No, this can't be happening.
Afterwards, I used my savings to support more girls in remote areas. Some opportunities should be reserved for those who truly cherish them.